Welcome to Global Insiders Podcast. I am Ryan, the Peripatetic One, bringing you information about opportunities relating to jobs, traveling, and any information that can elevate you to your rightful place in this thing called life. You can find more information and how-to methods on globalinsidersgroup.com. That is insiders with an S. And here is today's show. Hello, insiders. Today I have another informative show for you, and focus will be on coronavirus and how it is affecting people all over the world. My guest today is someone who has been on before, and today she'll be sharing her experience with us once again. So, welcome back to the show, Cyrissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again. Sorry it took so long.
No problem. Um, the last time we spoke, you went into detail about the difference between being an interior decorator and an interior designer because that is your job. So, just in a short way, please explain this to the listeners again for those who didn't hear your story before.
Okay. Most people confuse the three different designs, which are architecture, interior design, and interior decorating. So basically, an interior decorator is someone who kind of comes into like an already built space and they would add an ambiance to your space, or they would decide how to place pieces so they're more functional for you. So maybe a wall color change, textile change, so like your sheets, or just a way to make you feel more comfortable in your space. So that's like an interior decorator. Then an interior designer can actually build the space for you. So they can take down wall structures. They can also build an actual house for you if you need, or up to a three-story building. And they focus more on like the philosophy and the psychology of like a person when they're in their space as well. So like the functionality. And then they also take care of the decorating as well. And then you have architects who can work on large scale buildings, including homes, and they focus mainly on like a concept. So interior designers also work with concept, but architects work really closely with form and how it affects the environment and surrounding areas and the site. So it's they're all very different, but they all have their important aspects and their needs. So yeah. Is
Okay,
that clear enough?
very, 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 very clear.
Okay.
Is it easy to switch from one to the other?
For me, I would probably need to study to be an architect because there's a lot of things you need to keep in mind. For example, in Japan, the buildings are structured different, so I don't know too much about how they build, but I can say they use mainly like a steel frame because they need to be more flexible, and that's probably why we can't put holes in the wall because there's nothing actually in between the walls.
Yeah.
Um, and why the apartments are also so cold. So only that's what I found out when I was over there.
Yes.
But that stuff I would need to know it, like I would have to study to know that. I would have to know like if, something can support, like it's just it's more technical. It's more engineering, I find architecture. But
Oh,
but maybe decorating is fine. Um that's no problem. And then of course design is okay, but I think architecture you really have to yeah, yeah.
get deep into it.
Mhm.
Because actually you educated me a lot about the profession regarding knowing building codes and so forth. Because
Mhm.
for most of us who have never really delved into the profession, we're thinking it's more about colors and making things look beautiful. But
Yeah.
it's really about also making sure the space is safe and making sure that it is appropriate for whatever you're trying to build or trying to have created.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was surprised by that. The last time we spoke, you said the designs that you really admired was I think it's Roastery in Tokyo and Fly Pony in Shanghai. Are those
Yeah.
two are those are those two still your favorites, or you have you seen something new recently?
I have seen a couple new ones, especially since I came home. I
Yes.
can't recall the architect off the top of my head, but there are some places in India where they have some homes, and these ones were actually they were very, very much pushed by the client. So like all the aspects were very much pushed by that client, and the architect was pretty much just there to make sure it worked.
Yes.
And if I can find out exactly what this building was called, I can tell you. But
Yeah. All right.
there is another one. It's called Steel House, but it's ugh, I think it's somewhere up in the Northwest Territories, and it's kind of like you look at the form, it looks like a block just on the prairies. But when you go inside, it also looks very hollow and there's lots of voids. But in the voids, you can actually open up walls and there's all these secret compartments and you can see that it actually does have a lot of humanism factors to it. So when you open it up, you can see like chessboards and little baby clothes and shoes, but they're all like tucked away in like this rusted steel form. So I'll find out what it's called, but yeah, since I've been home, I've been digging a lot. So
Okay. All right. Awesome.
sorry,
Just
I'm
checking.
weird, man.
I mean, no, that's the thing you should be worried about. That's what you love.
Yeah.
So that's nice. All right.
Mm.
So you keep referencing came home. So you basically you were in Japan for a bit, working, right? And just a quick recap. How was that? How was that whole experience?
I think working in Japan, honestly, now that I look at it, I'm very grateful I had the chance to do it. Um, I realize now how, like, just personally, like, in my heart, I guess, is I didn't take it, like, a lot of people look at it like, oh, you're so brave to, like, move and go to Japan. But in my head, I never felt, like, unsafe moving there. It taught me a lot of patience. It taught me about myself. Um, I learned a lot about how, you know, people are different, but at the same time, it's good to kind of just relax, kind of analyze, and then change. You can still change like the way you speak to people and like the things you say. So I don't know. I reflected a lot on myself. I got to spend a lot of time alone. um, I was super appreciative of the experience. I also gained a lot of software knowledge. So I'm really grateful that I got to become the head technician for Revit and for AutoCAD in Sendai, like for the company. So I was really happy about that. Um, and yeah, it made me also realize that I do have leadership skills, but I don't practice them very often because I sometimes I'm more I talk to people one on one. I don't really kind of broadcast it, so I don't walk around and say, "Hey everyone, I'm going to show you how to do this." I just like to go to one person one by one. So I don't know. I learned a lot about myself, and I was grateful for the opportunity. Mm.
Okay, awesome.
Uh,
So, the last time I didn't ask this question, but I definitely have to ask it now. How did you
mm.
communicate? Did you use Japanese?
Yes, sometimes. I think the most Japanese I probably use when people I would have to was when I was on the phone. So like I tried to say a local sentence, but yeah, I only had to use it like whenever I go to the corner store, I would just be like,
I mean for
arigato.
work. I mean for work. I mean for work. Did you use
Oh
it for work?
no.
No, you
No.
didn't have to use Japanese at work?
Mm-mm. No, not for
How
work.
does that work? How does that work though?
Well, the company I work for is international, so it's based in Sweden, so I didn't have to speak English, I mean Japanese, and a lot of the coworkers wanted me to keep speaking English. But I
Oh,
did start to kind of learn some words because I noticed some coworkers they didn't feel comfortable speaking English, so I was like, you know what? You don't feel comfortable speaking in English, but I'm in Japan. I should know something. So I would
Yeah.
try to speak Japanese. And I know I wasn't saying it perfectly and maybe not in the right way, but it was to kind of make them realize, hey, like, I don't speak Japanese that well. You don't speak English that well. We can still meet in the middle and like communicate. And then I thought it just made them feel more comfortable, and it did. So,
Okay, well, that is awesome because you know what? You have a lot of professionals who, I mean, even with what's happening in the world right now, they're thinking about making a move or they're thinking about getting some international experience, but maybe they're thinking about the language barrier. But
mhm.
so what you're saying now is it's really helpful. It's really good for them to know that don't allow not knowing a language to stop you from going overseas and working for an
Yeah.
international company because the beautiful thing about English especially is that it is the language of business. You know, it is a business language. So you definitely if you can speak English, you can go anywhere in the world and you
Mhm.
should be okay. So that
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. So the move you had, so you moved, and I'm going to assume that Corona was a major part of this move, right?
It wasn't the reason, but it did affect it.
So what was that like? When you heard about this Corona thing first, what did you think initially?
Uh, okay, so I think first I heard about China having an outbreak in Wuhan, and I was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh shoot, like that sucks. And then some reports were coming back out about how it's like the SARS virus.
Yes.
But when SARS came out before, I don't know, I was a kid. I was like in
Yeah.
elementary,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I tried to keep thinking. I'm like, what was I doing as a kid? And I didn't really understand it. I think I was like, okay, I'm home from school, but I don't know why. Um, so yeah, initially I wasn't too concerned. I think I started to get really concerned when they said they were talking about the ship, the Princess.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that ship that got stuck at sea with people who had the virus, and then I heard about Italy, and then lockdowns started happening. And I'm like, what? So, and
Yeah.
I was in the process of actually just coming home to do just a visit. Like that's initially what I was gonna do. So my flight, everything was booked from before. Even prior to coming back from the holidays back to Japan, I found it really strange at the airport because they were asking me all these questions like, why are you going back to Japan? Do you have your visa? How long are you staying there? And they were just like a lot of questions. And even when I came off the plane in um, back in Japan, they had us wipe our feet on like these sanitized mats.
Yes.
So no one was saying anything at that point. So, anyways, fast forward to when I was just supposed to come back for vacation. So I'm getting news now from home while I'm just packing up just to come for vacation. And it's like, oh, Trudeau's closing the borders, who's our prime minister, and he's telling all Canadians they need to come home. And I'm like, what? Like, this
Hmm.
is serious. Like, this is not a joke thing. And then you're hearing about the US and how they're getting hit. And by then, the US wasn't hit that bad. It was mainly just Italy.
Yes.
So that's when um, I was kind of like, even before then, I was kind of talking to my mom a bit, and she was having some problems with my grandmother. And I think when I was thinking about what was happening um, with the whole virus, and then I was talking to my mom, she was stressing out about my grandmother, and I was kind of like, this is too much. Like, it was a lot, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I was originally just gonna come back for the vacation, but then I changed my mind and I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna come home. That was like a very difficult decision, but at the same time, um, I felt as though everything I wanted to do in Japan was kind of done.
Yes.
Um, and then when I had booked everything, and I changed my flight to a later date, um, that's when stuff started getting crazy and the focus was more not on just the family, but on the virus because my flight kept changing and the borders are starting to close. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I was thinking for a long time, I was like, you know what, maybe I should just stay in Japan and wait it out. Um, but I tried calling the embassy in Tokyo and they weren't really giving me like any information that I needed. They were just forwarding me back to Canada. And Canada, of course, this is a new thing for everyone. Like, no one really knows what to do. So I changed everything and then I told my work and they understood. They were really sad, honestly, very sweet, but they were understanding. And I then started the process of just moving. But then in the process of that, my flight got changed yet again. So it's like my flight got bumped up 4 times. So I was super stressed by the time I had to leave. Um, but thank God everything was fine. But it was like very stressful. And it was so weird flying. There was like no one on the plane. Everyone had
Yeah?
a mask.
Like how many?
Yeah.
Like how many persons?
There was maybe like 15 passengers on a
Wow.
big commercial flight. Yeah.
We're talking about these huge planes that do those international flights, so maybe it can
Mhm.
hold up to like maybe I don't even want to say a number that sounds ridiculous, but these are huge flights, right? The double deckers, well, not
Yeah,
double
yeah,
decker,
yeah.
but like the double rows,
I
right?
know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
That was like the,
Wow. 15 people on the flight. Wow. That
yeah.
must
And
be like a weird side.
it was weird. Like I took a picture of it and everything. Like,
Mm.
they had, like it was a row of three and then a row of four and then a row of three. So it was a giant plane. They had one flight attendant for each of us, it felt like. And
Wow.
the guy, like, I asked for wine, and the guy just kept coming back and like filling up the wine because I guess he couldn't get rid of it. But like, I don't.
I mean, it's a bad situation, but at the end of the day, you know what, though, man, if it must have been really easy going through customs and all of that, right?
Yeah, it was so weird. It was so weird. Like, what time is this? Like, where am I? Like, it was so weird. Like, everything is so strange. But yeah, it
Wow,
was
wow.
a long story. But yes, that was my adventure coming
No,
back.
that's a great story. That's what I want to hear. That's what we want to hear. What's really happening. So work. I mean, during this period, what was work looking like? I'm sure there were changes being made. Did you have to do like temperature check or anything like that?
No, actually. So the first thing they did was they said that we had to do social distancing. So with work, they had a schedule where half of the employees would be at work and then another half. So you'd have like group A, group B, and we started um, flipping our schedules so that there weren't as many people. Our meetings were cut down to having 10 people in a room opposed to 40. Um, and we would have like different rooms, but we would Skype each other in each meeting room. It was very strange, but that's what we did. We did wear. I personally, I wore a mask from probably February because I found for me, I was getting sick on the subway. Whenever I would take the subway, I would get sick. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear a mask when I take the subway in the morning. And then I
Did
just
it
kept
did it
wearing
help?
one.
Did it help?
Yeah, and I made sure I bumped up my vitamin C and my iron. Like, I'm not playing around. I need my immune system to be up. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
good.
they were, they were pretty good. A lot of the women who were, if you were pregnant or if you had diabetes or any kind of heart problems or anything like that, they would tell you you can leave. So a lot of people went home as soon as they got the news. Um, But yeah, the office basically just got really empty. That's pretty
Okay.
much. Mm.
All right. So winding down, where do you see things heading in your profession after this coronavirus experience has passed?
So, okay, so here's the thing. I have my dreams and the things I want to do. The coronavirus, it puts into perspective, of course, what's important. Um, Essential workers. Am I essential worker? No, probably not right now. No, I'm not essential worker. I've spoken to a couple of people, old colleagues from school, old coworkers who I worked with while I was here in Canada. And unfortunately, like, I think all of my friends have been laid off from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So, in terms of me having a job, I can't even think about. I mean, I can prepare myself. The most I can do is keep my skills up, prepare myself, and just be ready, like when things open up. But yeah, I know it's gonna be like a bit of a walk. I'm gonna be optimistic about it in the sense like I'm not gonna try and go for exactly where I want to go. I'm just gonna try and just go get in. Like I know that may sound kind of, but I'm gonna go where it's needed.
Okay,
Not
understand.
yeah, because you don't
So,
know, right?
no, you don't. Would
Yeah,
you give students who are just leaving school to enter the profession the same advice? Just keep your skills up.
yeah, for sure. Number one, keep your skills up. Number two, stay in touch with your colleagues in school. That
Okay.
that's important.
Okay.
Um, and number three, even though we are in a pandemic right now, if you see positions that are open and available, still go ahead and apply because at least that way people can remember you. They can see that you're still eager. And when you do apply, don't just apply, oh, I just need a job. No, apply because you researched the company, you like this company, and you feel like you can expand. Don't make like this virus an excuse. Still put forth what you believe in, the reason why you're doing it, and that's how you'll get what you need. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself too. So, yeah.
Excellent. All right, and I'll just share a quote with you that a wise person said,
Ooh, okay.
keep your mind healthy, keep learning, keep your mind open, and you'll be good.
It sounds
Do-
familiar.
It sounds familiar? Yeah,
Yes.
I'm happy because those are your words, and those are powerful words, and I like how you said it, and I just wanted to remind you of it, and it's something I look at from time to time. So yeah, I mean, I believe it. Keep your mind healthy, keep learning, keep your mind open, and you'll be good. All right. So of course, I'll be closing out now, but I have the three questions for you. So just give me your answer right off the
Ooh,
bat. Life.
fun. I'm like, can you start over?
Don't worry, it's your answer, Travel.
It's exciting.
Travel, that's it.
Not happening right now. That's what travel is. It's not happening right
Nice. Future.
It's tomorrow. The future's tomorrow.
All right, good stuff, Cyrissa. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Please, enjoy the rest of the day and just hang in there and keep being positive.
You too.
All right, good. How can the insiders keep in touch with you if they'd like to?
You can email me if you want at cinterior@live.com, or you can check me out on crender on Instagram, IG. And I
Okay,
did
so
promise I would post, but soon time.
I hear you. So that's cinterior@live.com and the last one,
Crender on
see render,
Instagram. Yes.
render on Instagram.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you are inspired. You can find more helpful and motivational material at globalinsidersgroup.com. That is, insiders with an S. You can also keep in touch at Global Insiders on Instagram. See you next time, but remember, you can be your own superhero. Bye.